You know, it's with a little sadness and also with great joy and happiness that I want to do this video. It relates to our pets, and these are all my dogs. I've had dogs and not cats and fish or whatnot, but I live on a farm, a hobby farm, 2.5 acres, and I'm surrounded by rabbits on the property all the time, which is great for these dogs here. They've feasted on many, many rabbits. And I'm surrounded by nature and love and all the animals around me. But I want to make this video to bring to your attention, as a spiritual being and someone going through spiritual awakening and growing and evolving spiritually, learning with every little spiritual glimpse that comes into your life and every awareness, every moment of awareness that captures your attention, that there are great things that you can do spiritually. And one of those great things are that you can communicate with your dogs, with your cats, with your pets, with your loved ones. I'm not excluding anyone or anything in this world. You are one with all. You are a spiritual being. Again, as I say many times, whether you are aware of it or not, you are a spiritual being. Hey everybody, welcome to Tea Talk. This is Nick. Thanks for joining me. I think I'm going to spend some time here and share some of my spiritual experience with communicating with the animals around me, my dogs. And I don't know if I'll be able to get it all in one video, but if not, I'll do a second part to what I call our pets, and showing how spirituality and our spiritual growth and evolution is one with all, and there is no separation or language barrier between us and the loved ones around us, such as our pets. Let's get on with it. When you come to that point of having that awakening or that enlightenment, and it's really words fail us because there really is no point to define this, to define the moment or anything like that. I guess you could say it's always present. It's always in the now. You're always spiritual, and you use your spiritual gifts and power before you come into a spiritual awakening, but you're never aware of it. And then something profound happens, and a transformation starts taking place. And we use words like spiritual awakening. However, every single person in the world is awake. They are all spiritual. It's just a matter of when they recognize it, and that's when we use words like appointed time, awakening, enlightenment, and stuff like that. But everyone being a spiritual being, and especially those who have come into a spiritual awakening, can use their imagination in a way to, you've heard it a million times, to produce the life that you want. And if you do it out of love and kindness, more often than not, you will have a life filled with blessings, continuous blessings. So you are one with everything and all, and that includes your pets and your animals. A few of these wonderful animals here have left me now. I'm left with two of them. I'm left with this beautiful, gorgeous boy. His name is Copper, and I'm left with Nola. And Nola has been with me. She's going to be 14 in a couple of weeks. And I feel over the next couple of days I have to make a decision of releasing her because she has gotten old. She's finding it difficult to get around, and she's having issues. And rather than running her to the vets all the time or waking up in the middle of the night and taking her to emergency, up until this point, she's never had a health issue. So I figure these are all signs pointing to an expiration date coming very soon. And I don't want to wait until she's fully in pain. So I have a bit of a decision to make over the next couple of days as to what I want to do. And more than likely, I think I am just going to send her off with the other ones. So you can be in that world, in that heaven that is eternal life, that is eternal joy, that is eternal happiness. And there's an endless supply of what they need. Everything from running and exercise to feeding and enjoying the eternal bliss that they truly are. They are just coats and suits and bodies walking around here. they are already, as we are too, we just don't recognize it, are already in that eternal place that is called heaven, that eternal place. We already reside there. We are only having this experience here, and they are no different than us having the experience here. So I'm quite content in letting her go because I already know, and I've known for a long time, she's already there. She's already there. Now, this is one of the things I want to share with you about spirituality and spiritual. And I want to share some stories with you on how I grew into this and started evolving in this and using my understanding of spirituality and being one to communicate and to be able to have a relationship that goes beyond just a language barrier between myself and my dogs. And I want to start off with this gorgeous girl here. Her name is Tesla. And she was diagnosed at 4 years old with cardiomyopathy. Now, it's notorious for hitting large breed dogs, and especially Doberman Pinschers. Tesla is indistinguishable from that of a wolf. She is what the wolf dog community calls a high content. She's about 97% wolf. And you really, if you put two black-faced wolves together, you really couldn't tell the difference between the wild one and Tesla. They are identical. And at 4 years old, she got diagnosed with this cardiomyopathy, and it hit both sides of her heart, and the fluid around her heart was filling up and choking her. I rushed her down to emergency and left her there for a week. Now, I visited 2, 3 times, 4 times a day, however many times emergency would let me. They've had to kick me out a couple of times when I was down there because of lunch and whatnot and other procedures taking place that I couldn't be, a part of. But I spent all my time down there with her, and I watched her get healthy. And when she was about to leave the hospital, on the day that I did go down to pick her up, the doctor says to me, "You'll be lucky if you get a couple of days, maybe a week out of her. She doesn't have much time," right? I really should have let her go then, but there was a part of me, I was undergoing my second spiritual awakening, and there was a part of me that said, you know what? I know I can help her. I know I can heal her. I know I can be a benefit to her and maybe prolong her life and maybe give her another 5 or 6 years of living, right? So I took her home and I put her strictly on a raw diet, just chicken, beef, and pork, and that was it. And she was on medication 6 times a day, 3 shots in the morning, 3 shots in the evening, all spaced out 12 hours apart. And I know some people who hear about wolf dogs think, oh no, you give her raw food, that's going to make her wild and she's going to attack you and the dogs. No, don't worry about that. These animals are domesticated. They're not like natural predators in the wild. They are somewhat domesticated, and with your help and nurturing them and teaching them and spending a lot of time, wolf dogs are a huge responsibility, and spending a lot of time with them to develop them into some sort of a domestic lifestyle is what is required to keep them healthy and happy and have them be part of your family. But make no mistake about it, I found that around 2 years old, the wolf did start coming out in Tesla, and she was off leash in dog parks and all that up until 2 years old. At 2 years old, she was on a leash. And now there's a lot of people in the wolf dog community that say, why would you even leave your wolf off leash? You know what I mean? Because I trusted her. I worked with her hard. I worked with her, long hours every day, every single day, to teach her to do things and whatnot. So it was a big responsibility. But I mean, if you're going to hear the stories from wolf dog people about feeding them raw, have no fear if you're interested in purchasing a wolf dog. It all depends on you. It goes with any other dog, every dog in the world. You know what I mean? It all depends on how they are raised. And if you want to raise them wild and be that way, then there's obstacles and stuff that will come along with it that you will find very difficult to handle. And there's people that raise their dogs properly and have them as family members, no different than children. I being an example. These are all my children here. And 2 of them are my sisters, because I live on a hobby farm, and my sister lives in the city, that she leaves her 2 up here, and she'll come up on the weekends and visit and whatnot. But it was for the longest time a great big pack up here, and they were able to roam around and enjoy one another's company. Now, with Tesla and my ability and my determination to help her and to heal her and apply some of the spiritual growth that I was undergoing and apply it towards my family and my environment and everything around me, I saw that what the doctor said was going to be 1 week max, her lifespan, that she ended up living 2 years longer. During that 2-year process, I used to go out to her in the morning to give her medication, 3 shots of the stuff that she needed to help her heart and to help the fluid be released from around her heart and whatnot. And I would always talk to her and tell her stuff like, Tesla, we are one. There is no separation between us. You know where I am. You can come and find me anytime because I'm in the same place that you are. You can come and find me anytime. I'm available and we can talk and whatnot. And I would comfort her and I would pet her and I would play with her. And I saw the moments that she was tired and she was battling this disease, and I would leave her alone and let her rest and whatnot. But I would always say to her, I say, Tesla, you know what? You know where to find me. If there's anything that's bothering you, if you need anything, you let me know, all right? We're the same. There's no difference between us. But applying these words to an animal, I really believed that I could reach her. I really believed that I could communicate with her. I did this for a period of maybe 2 months. Something happened after 2 months. I had a dream one night. It was a very mystical and very supernatural experience that would lead to many, many unfoldings of this type of experience for me. And in this dream, Tesla came up to me. We were walking around the property here on the farm that we live on, and she walks up to me and she starts talking to me. And she says, I have a question for you. I want to know, why do you keep me on a leash? And I was very lucid in this dream, very, very lucid. And we sat down. There was a spot on the property that's like a little bit of a hill, and we could see from the barn to our home everything all around us and out onto the street. And that was one of her favorite spots. We used to sit there for hours and hours. And in this dream, we sat on this spot. And I sat her down and I said to her, I said, I'll tell you why I have you on a leash, Tesla. I said, it is important for you to be on a leash because you are unlike the other dogs. We have farms all around us, and some of these farms have chickens, goats, lambs, cows, and whatnot. And I know that your prey drive is going crazy. Your senses and your scent of smell pick it all up. And I know you want to go and explore, but they don't understand you. They do not understand your nature. And they need to protect their animals the same way that I need to protect you. I can't let you off leash. You got more off leash time than any wolf dog in the whole world. I said, for 2 years, you ran off leash and no one prevented you from doing anything, stopped you, and you got along with everyone. But you have a different nature about you, and you changed into your nature. And I have to protect you. I don't want to lose you. And the people around us who do have animals and farm animals on their property, they don't want to have their animals go missing or be slaughtered. She says to me, but I don't understand why I still need to be on a leash. I said, Tesla, you are different. Even with the dogs, you are different. And we talked and I explained this to her. And I woke up from this dream and I would want to say I was surprised, but I wasn't surprised because every morning I would go out there and I would talk to her and then I would tell her, you know where I am. You know where we are. You know that none of this is real. We are in a place that is safe. It is eternal and it is timeless. So come and find me. I'm there. Come and talk to me. And I did this practicing my spiritual understanding and knowing if I am all and one with everything in the universe, and that includes animals and nature and all of that, then I should have no problem reaching them. And so by applying this, and then after 2 months having this dream, I was on a whole different level of excitement. I was beyond excited. I was happy. I was very, very happy knowing that, you know what I understand and what I believe is true. And nothing can take this away from me. Nothing can prevent me from growing in this understanding. And this was the first step. A couple of weeks after that, again, she came up to me. And again, she was telling me, please, let me off the leash. I don't want to be tied to a leash. And I said, Tesla, we've had this conversation before. You have to understand that you are different. And I can let you off a leash and I can trust you. But I also know that the minute you pick up something, you pick up a scent, you pick up a smell, you pick up something, you're gone and you won't listen to me. I ended up waking from that dream. Again, went outside, looked at Tesla, talked to her, told her that we had a conversation in the evening. I understand where you're coming from. I understand what's going on with you. And I understand you want a little bit more freedom. And I would talk to her in real life, in real time like this, with the language barrier. She, in this world, she didn't understand what I was saying. But in the spirit, she understood completely what I was saying. And I would start at that point talking to them in that way, knowing that they understand me. And I didn't think twice about them not understanding me or thinking that I am foolish in doing the things that I am doing and that, that I'm being ridiculous. Regardless of what I tried to share this with people and people would say to me, they don't understand you. They don't communicate the way we do. I mean, you're just being ridiculous. You have issues. But I trust my dreams. I know my dreams. I've had so many spiritual revelations and mystical experiences that I understand that this world is fake and that we can control the world. We can control our environment. After all, we create our environment. We create everything about ourselves. What's stopping us from creating a world of peace and happiness, or a world where communication has no language barrier? Shortly after that, I would start seeing dreams with Tesla, and we would have long conversations. And sometimes we would be out on nature walks, and she would look up at me and she would say, come on, let's go. I smell something here. And I would have her on the leash, and she would take me through these forests and through these creeks and whatnot. And we would always find something, whether it be fish or whether it be a rabbit or a duck or something. But she was always telling me, she goes, she never said daddy, or she never said to call me by my name, but she always knew who I was. And she always says to me, come on, I smell something. It's over here. Other times she would talk to me about food and the food she ate and how she enjoyed the food and how she wanted more of the food. And then there was times where she said she wanted less of the food. I had this communication with Tesla. And I also saw in my dream the moments that she was hurting, because I was always out there comforting her and calming her down and telling her that she is fine and everything. And then I would have a dream later on in the evening, and I would see not only one Tesla, but I would see two of them. I would see her in the containment out there with all the other dogs, and she being laid out in her favorite spot, and over top of her would be standing her spirit. I call it her spirit, but it was her identical self standing over top of her, protecting her, comforting her, guiding her, keeping her at rest and peace while she's dealing with this disease and what was going on with her. I had so many dreams where I saw multiple Teslas, multiple versions of her, all doing different things and all doing them at the same time. Parallel dimensions or parallel lives, if you will. Which seems kind of really corny to me, because these are all just aspects of her, multifaceted aspects of herself. But the one thing that was always evident, her spiritual self was commanding, was majestic, was royalty. It was the spirit of God, and there was no illness, there was no discomfort. There was just this commanding presence of peace and love and eternal comfort. That's all I can say it was. And so Tesla was the very first dog that came into my life. And it was during my second spiritual awakening, and where many, many revelations and profound insights were constantly bombarding me, that I took it upon myself and said that, hey, if I am one with everything, then there should be no language barrier. There should be no separation between me and my animals or anything like that, or my environment or nature around me. I am one with all, so I should be able to do this. And I would go out there, like I said, and I would just constantly tell her, you know where I am. You know where I am. I know where you are. You know where we are together. Nothing can hurt us here. If you have something you want to say, if you have a problem, talk to me. You know where you can find me. I would do this over and over and over again. Prior to Tesla passing away, she passed away a month and a half before her 6th birthday. She lived 2 years longer than what the vet said. The vet said I may get 2 days a week max out of her. She ended up living to be almost 6 years old. In my eyes, she was 6 years old. She was a month and a half from turning 6. Prior to her passing away, probably about 3 months before she passed away, I started having dreams with all the dogs. I started seeing my boy Taylor here, and he would come to me and he would talk to me. And I would say to him, Taylor, what are you doing? We'd be sitting in the kitchen, and he would come in from outside and come into the kitchen, and he would grab himself a bone, and he would break the bone up in his mouth and throw the pieces on the floor. And I said to him, Taylor, what are you doing? He looks at me and says, Daddy, he goes, I'm making a puzzle. He goes, watch, I'm making a puzzle. After that, Nola came to me and started talking to me. I see Nola in the kitchen. Nola was one of the only dogs that was allowed to be in the house. All the rest had to be outside because they had no respect for property. They wanted to stain everything, couches, chairs, floor, mark every spot that they found. But Nola was the exception. She was a house dog. She was a dog. She had no wolf in her like the other ones did. And she was just a normal, regular dog, and she was allowed to come inside. And in this one dream, she comes inside, and she opens up the fridge with her paw, and she grabs a bottle of water. She says, I'm thirsty, Daddy. She goes, I'm just going to grab a bottle of water. Now, Taylor and Nola always called me Daddy in dreams. But I suppose it may be the way the syllables sounded to them, because I was always referring to them as their daddy. Even with Tesla. But Tesla had this superiority, this royalty about her that was different. And she never addressed me as daddy. But these Taylor and Nola always, when they spoke to me, addressed me as daddy. But about 2 or 3 months before Tesla passed away, all of them, even my sister's dogs, would show up and start talking to me. However, they were not as vocal as my dogs. I knew that, it was her responsibility to have this understanding of spirituality. And no one can teach it to you. I couldn't teach it to her, and I couldn't tell her what to do. I could only share my experiences and hope that when she's ready and her time comes, that she too will be able to experience herself as the full-on expansion that she truly is and be one with all. So her dogs, very, very little communication with me. And they were either like strictly 1 or 2 words, But my dogs, vocalization like crazy in these dreams. And sometimes their lips moved, and sometimes it was telepathic. I would say more often than not, it was telepathic. But understanding this spiritual ability and how we are one with everything and nothing separates us. There is no language barrier. We are not Greek, Jew, Muslim, Arab, Chinese, Japanese, Canadian, Australian. We're not that. We're all one. We all can communicate in one language. It is a universal language. It is a spiritual language. And if we are one with everything, there's no separating us from our animals, our pets, our loved ones. Nothing can separate us from it. Now, I told you how I did it. I would just go out there every day and assure them that we are already in heaven. We don't need this world around us. We are just only experiencing it. And you know where I am, and you can find me anytime you want to. You may have another approach towards this. It may be different expression of the same thing. But if I truly believe, that's totally up to you. I truly believe, because I've experienced this, I truly believe that you have reached this point. I'm not even going to say you can reach this point. You have reached this point already. It's just a matter of recognizing it. I did want to talk about two other dogs here, Talo and Nola, and the experiences I had with them, but I already see that I'm running into 26 minutes on this video here. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to say, this is Nick, this is T-Talk. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in part 2, where I'll explain a couple more experiences that I've had with my dogs, and that should be enough to show you the spiritual being that you truly are, and the spiritual growth that comes into your life to assure you of this, and what you can do with it, not just from a perspective of creating the life you want, but from a perspective of helping and communicating with those around you that may not be able to communicate, and there may be a language barrier in this world. I'll see you next time.